So I'd like to welcome, how do I say CATIE? Katie. I keep saying CATIE. CATIE. It's an organization that strengthens Canada's response to HIV and hepatitis C by bridging research and practice. And behind the scenes, I had so many questions for both of you. I'd like to welcome to the show Jody, the executive director, and Natasha, community health worker. Welcome. I like what you're
Hi,
doing here. You got the
thanks.
executive director, and then we have our community health worker that is hands on. Not to say you're not hands on, Jody. You
I can be
know,
hands-on.
yeah, not to say that you're not hands on. So, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit more about Katie.
Yeah, CATIE is Canada's source for HIV and hepatitis C
Right.
information. We deliver resources and trainings. We also convene stakeholders. And the goal is to build capacity so that we can better respond to HIV and hepatitis C in Canada.
This is great. I was at the Be Well clinics in Rexdale. Natasha, you probably know of that. And
Yeah,
they
we had
had,
our
yeah,
organization out there.
they had the self-testing. They had spin the wheels. You can get condoms, self-testing. So this was, I've heard of the self-testing, and I thought years ago. I mean, imagine Jody, you thought this too, as well as Natasha, that this is something that should have been around. Let's be real, like 20 years ago, 10 years ago. But technology, it's here now. And I saw the self-testing. I went up to the booth. I'm like, okay, what is this? Explain it. And they said within a minute you can know your HIV status. Is that true?
Yeah, well, funny story.
Right.
Self-tests have been available in other countries for a long time, and
Okay.
we developed them here in Canada. There's a company that makes them, but they weren't available in Canada because they weren't approved by Health Canada. So it's a relatively new thing. Only about a
Right.
year and a half that we've been able to access them in Canada. And then last year, the federal government invested in a program where they bought 200,000 test kits, and organizations like mine and like Natasha's at Women's Health and Women's Hands are trying to get the word out and distributing those kits to folks.
This is great. This is great for our community as well. Let's talk about the Black community. How common is HIV in the Black community? What would you say?
So, just to introduce my organization, so I'm from Women's Health and Women's Hands Community Health Center.
Okay.
We provide primary health care to racialized women, trans, and non-binary people from the African, Caribbean, Black, South Asian, and Latin American communities in the Greater Toronto area.
Right.
We've done a lot of work and a lot of research, projects, services, programs when it comes to HIV and the ACB community. And so just to give like an idea of what that looks like, the current situation. So ACB people represent about 4% of Ontario's population.
Mm.
However, in the most recent stats, when it comes to new HIV diagnoses in Ontario, we represent about 25% of all new HIV diagnoses.
Wow.
So that shows you that there is a large disproportion. Like there's something happening here, right? So at Women's Health and Women's Hands, what we do is because statistics can be quite stigmatizing.
Hmm.
There can be certain assumptions that come along with these numbers. So what we do is we do a lot of research so that we can use these numbers to inform services and inform programs and the types of services that we offer. And when it comes to HIV in the ACB community, a lot of the challenges and the barriers come out of the anti-Black racism that's experienced in medical institutions, looking at the social determinants of health and how, depending on where you fall within those social determinants of health, how your service or your access to certain health services can have a lot of barriers. There can be a lot of
Right.
barriers there.
Right. Wow, that's a lot. I'm like taking it all in. I have so many questions for you. Just because I like to, we were talking behind the scenes. You guys kind of get how I am. I'm like, I want to learn more about this. We don't hear of HIV as much anymore after COVID,
Yeah.
and some people are like, what happened to HIV? And some people just aren't scared. And maybe they're off guard. But how prevalent is it in our community? You said 25% of new cases. A lot of people think it's just gay. A lot of people think, they still think, oh, let's be real, she's a hoe or he's a hoe. Do you see, women? What are the age groups like? I want to, I know that HIV doesn't have a face, but maybe you can describe it a little bit better. Some of the cases that you see, do you see like young girls that have a good job? I know guys think, hey, she's got a kid, she doesn't have HIV. Oh, she has a nice job. He has a good job, he has a nice car, he's clean. What are some of the things that you can share with us?
Yeah, so I think what we really strive to do is to increase awareness and education
Right.
because of the stigma that's associated with HIV and how that impacts particular priority populations, including the Black community, the ACB community. It it what basically ends up happening is that it creates these blocks and barriers for folks to even get awareness or education or even to
Right.
know where testing is and where it's available or to even want to test because there has been particular associations with HIV with particular marginalized communities. So because of that, it's really important that we address that. We go out into community. We connect and start at that community level. So a lot of the work that we do is within community, providing education and awareness, really thinking about how language can be quite stigmatizing. HIV is a chronic illness just like any other chronic illness. It's maintained very well with medication. You start taking medication, and once your viral load becomes undetectable, it's actually untransmittable. You can't transmit the virus to anyone else in those circumstances. So not only are folks living a happy, healthy life, but there's all these different types of ways that we can prevent HIV. So even the how language can be quite stigmatizing
Right.
around who's clean and who's dirty, and
Right.
thinking about it, like we don't look at folks who have chronic illnesses as being unclean, right?
Right.
We look at them as having an illness that they have to manage with medication, and that's that. And that's how HIV really should be looked at. So yeah, when it comes to one of the reasons why Women's Health and Women's Hands is so invested when it comes to HIV with the African, Caribbean, and Black community is because of the disproportionate impact it also has on Black women. So Black women also have certain challenges when it comes to, again, anti-Black racism. But when you intersect that with things like gender-based violence, with things like the gender wage gap, all these different things that create barriers, then it actually increases the risks for transmission. So, for example, the last recent stats for when it comes to all HIV diagnoses among women, Black women represented about 44.6% of all diagnoses of all
Wow.
women. So again, right, this is why it's so important for the
Yes.
work that we do
Yes.
to bring that education, to bring that awareness, and to really fight back against the stigma so that folks do feel comfortable to go and get testing. And that's why HIV self-testing is so important and so great, because you can access this testing and do it really anywhere. So
Wow. Well said. And that's a huge number. When you just gave me that stat, I just had chills. Now you work directly with a lot of HIV patients, correct?
I'm more in prevention.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
more in prevention. But what have you seen? Jody, talk to me.
Well, just to your
What
earlier
if-
point,
yeah,
if I
sure,
can
go ahead.
interject, I think the important part here is we need to take care of our sexual health, right? The same way we
Yes.
take care of our physical health. We're telling people to, go to the gym, stay healthy. We need to consider our sexual health as one of those elements. And so testing is an important part of that. And it doesn't matter how many sexual partners you have or whether or not you're using substances or not. It should be part of your regular routine. And that's what I think the self-test kits enable is for some folks who may not have a doctor or access to healthcare, or they may live in a place that the hours aren't convenient to get tested, or their
They're
auntie works
scared,
at
or
the
they're
clinic, right?
scared.
Like they're scared, they're worried, they
Yeah.
want to do that in the privacy of
In
their
privacy,
home.
right.
And the self-test kits allow you to do that. So whether or not you access them through organizations like mine, like CATIE, where you can go online and order them from our website and do them in the privacy of your home, or whether or not you take part in programs that are being offered by local organizations like Women's Health and Women's Hands and other organizations in Toronto, we're really just trying to get the word out that there's a new technology, a new tool out there, and it should be part of your sexual health routine.
I like everything you just said. We're going to come back in just a few. Right now, taking a short break. The time, 9:27. It's Flow 98.7. All right, I want to welcome to the show again, Natasha and Jody. We are making a difference today, talking about HIV awareness. And Jody, first of all, your Instagram and your website, please, if we want to order self-test, HIV test.
Yeah, so we're CATIE, CATIE. .ca. That's our website. That's the best way to get all of our information. You can find our handles there as well. CATIE, CATIE.
Is there a price? Is there a charge, a fee for the
No,
test?
no. All of the resources that both of our organizations provide are free of charge. The test kits, you can go to selftest.catie.ca. You can order 2 or 4 test kits. If you're an organization that maybe does events or does something where you think these test kits could be a benefit, you can order bulk from us as well. Really, we're trying to increase awareness and increase availability of these.
This is amazing. And, you know, how quick is the test and how accurate is it?
Yeah, the test kit only takes a couple of minutes to do.
Okay.
It involves like a series of like small bottles and liquids. You prick your finger. The accuracy is 99% if it's done right, which the majority of the time it is. So it's a very accurate test. Of course, if you do get a positive result, we recommend people go in to get a confirmatory testing just to ensure that it's not a false positive. But certainly 99% accurate. It's an extremely accurate test.
And if you get a false positive, does it make sense to try again with another test?
That's one of the reasons why we do send 2 self-test kits if you
got
want
you.
them. We also, if you want to share, we send 4 if you want to share them with somebody that you think could benefit from it, a sex partner, something like that. But yes, you can retest, and certainly if you continue to test positive, we'd recommend you go in and get confirmatory testing and also treatment because like a positive is not the end of the world, certainly not anymore. People who get HIV live long, healthy lives. They just need to get connected to care and get some treatment.
Right. And with HIV, here's a question. If you wait too long and then you find out your status, do the meds work at that point, Jody?
The meds will still work. They're pretty amazing, actually. They
Right.
bring people back from
Amazing.
pretty bad states. That said, the earlier you detect, the earlier you get treated, the better health outcomes you're going to have. HIV does wreak havoc on the body. You don't want it in you untreated. So that's one of the reasons why we want these test kits to be more available so that people can test sooner.
Right. And then having other problems, other health problems. And then you're right. So knowing your status can avoid that. There's a question here from Vito. Hey, Vito. He says, perfect example, Magic Johnson, he was HIV many years ago. They had meds back then, and he's living a normal life. Question for you, Jody. Are you on meds for life? Not you, meaning like if somebody like Magic Johnson, does that mean he's on meds for life?
Yeah, we currently don't have a cure for HIV. There's lots of researchers around the world who
Right.
continue to look into that. But right now, our best solution is they're called antiretroviral drugs. They're ARVs. They're for HIV treatment and prevention, and they're highly effective. And we're continuing to develop those as well, so that they have even fewer side effects. So it really is it is a treatment for life to date, but
Right.
but an effective one.
I love it. And what made you get into this field, Jody?
I'm a gay guy. I came out in Montreal in a time when people were still dying of HIV,
Okay.
and it just kind of became my cause back then. And I've been working in HIV for about 20 years now.
Beautiful, beautiful. And for you, Natasha, what made you get into this industry?
So I got into it because I love my people. I love my Black community.
Right.
I love sexual health. I'm very passionate about it. And I have seen how HIV has impacted people who are very close to me. And I have beautiful, lovely, amazing people who are living with HIV in my life. And it's important for me to reduce the to help to reduce those barriers, to reduce the stigma, to really speak out about that, to bring that access. That's how we go out into community and do testing. So whereas with CATIE, you can order the kits through CATIE. At Women's Health and Women's Hands, you can come to our center and you can pick up the kits. We also offer folks, like if folks may be a little bit weary about doing the test themselves, we can
Right.
actually sit with them and provide them with a private space at the center, because sometimes too that's an issue, right? If you may not have a private space to do it, right? So we can also provide that as well too. But the big push that we do is that we're at every festival, every event, Afrofest Pride. I'm pretty sure at the clinic, the Be Well clinic, you probably got the test kit from our table because we were there.
Yeah, they're
distributing
like,
kits.
here, Red, take 5.
Yeah.
I'm like, thanks.
Yeah, so you can take up to 5 kits.
I'm like, I feel a little offended you give me 5. Like,
Well, it's also to like share, right? Like
I didn't know. And then he was like, do you want more? And then they were like, spin the wheel. And they're like, here, take 5 condoms too.
Yeah.
I'm like, what else do y'all have?
Those
What
are my
else?
peoples. Those are my peoples over there.
Yeah, I was like, you got some jelly?
Yep,
Not
lube,
for
dental
me,
dabs,
for my friend.
everything.
For Ritz. For DJ Red. Oh my gosh, sorry, that was not funny, right, Ritz?
I have some already. I'm good.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. No, but I think it's so important. And you know what? It is changing the stigma. Keep pushing through all these events. Seeing you guys at the Be Well Clinic, there was a guy that was like, come back, spin the wheel. And he was like, red, with hundreds of people. It was good. I think I love the setup, and I love how I saw so many people talking with them and
Yeah.
really funding it. And I was like a little child. I was like, there's so everyone listening, there's this little device you prick your finger. It's kind of like when I was pregnant, when you're testing for your glucose.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And then now after COVID, like we're all little doctors. Like after we had to do a COVID test, and ladies, we know about those pregnancy tests. So, I think we're all familiar with some sort of testing. Natasha, at the clinic, where is it?
So we're located at 2 Carlton Street on the 5th floor. We're just outside of College Station, right at Yonge and Carlton.
Okay.
Yeah, and our website is WHIWHCHC.com. And our Instagram is at WHIWHCHC.
Okay.
Yeah, so folks can visit the website, give us a call, or they can just drop in. They don't have to make an appointment to get these kits at all. It's just been so amazing to be able to bring this to the community, because I think there is a misconception that certain communities either we're not taking we're not putting enough effort into our healthcare, but when you actually reduce barriers to accessing health, then you move it away from punishing folks for their own circumstances. So oftentimes when we're at festivals, people will come to us and be like, I come and get tested here every year. You're my annual testing.
Oh, wow.
And that's
So it's
so
a
amazing.
reminder.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, and that's so amazing, and that's where we want to get folks, right? To whatever their potential risk factors might be, getting them to know, what types of things should they do, how often should they test, what resources are available if they're negative, and how do we get them connected into care if they're positive. So,
And I think it's even great. I was thinking of if you have a teenager that's sexually active. I'm one of those people that would like to have a conversation with my teenager. I think this is a great way too, that you can say, here, we don't have to go to the doctor, but let's just make sure, because Prince Charming, you never know, and just to know your status
Yeah.
and to have these conversations.
And
You
it's-
know?
they're good habits, right? Like we're trying to create good sexual health habits. And it's not about being scared of HIV anymore. We don't need to be scared of HIV. We just need to get tested, treated, look after it. It's manageable. And I think building that sort of like mentality into youth, teenagers, absolutely.
And what's your vision, Katie? What's your vision for the company? What's your vision for self-testing?
We're all in on elimination. So Canada's part of elimination goals for HIV and hepatitis C. We're trying to eliminate these 2 viruses in Canada as public health threats. And, we know that getting the right tools to the right people is the way that we're going to do that. And the next few years, it's really going to be a push on trying to meet those targets and goals so that we don't have to worry about this in 10, 15, 20 years. It's done.
I like what you just said, and I think if we can stop it now, then we can stop the spread. Is that why? So I get it now. I get
That's
it
great,
now.
yeah.
I get it. I mean, I was just thinking of the self-testing part. Know your status, get treated. That's one part. But also, if we can stop it now, then we're stopping the spread. Wow. You guys are both heroes to me. Thank you for putting in all the great work. Natasha, I love the vibe. I love the vibe. I know everyone's
you.
going to hit me up right now with what's your Instagram, and it's really confusing. So I'm like, I'm going to get your info.
Yeah.
And yeah, you guys can hit me up at Red in the City, and I will forward you the info. Once again, for the free testing, Jody. the
Yeah,
website?
selftest.catie.ca.
And Katie spelled.
CATIE.
I had a problem with that one. I'm like, Katie, K-A-T. No, C-A-T. What does it stand for?
It's the Canadian AIDS Treatment Information Exchange. But we
Okay,
don't see a lot of AIDS anymore, so we simplified it to Katie.
Yeah, that breaks it down.
CATIE.
Do you live in Toronto now? Do you like
do,
our city?
yeah.
Okay. Tell everybody in French to come on out and get tested.
En français, nous voulons que tu prennes des tests des dépistages en VIH.
I just wanted
Bientôt.
you to say that.
Oh yeah, it's too early in the morning, Red, for my French. I usually like to have a little glass of wine before I crack into the French, and I definitely wasn't prepared. So somebody's going to correct me back at Katie, 100%.
Thank you so much to both of you. Flow 98.7.
A person with HIV can now live a long and healthy life thanks to treatment. But the first step is to get tested. The sooner you know your HIV status, the better. You can now test yourself at home with just a prick of the finger and get results within a minute. Order a free HIV self-test kit online at selftest.catie.ca. That's selftest.catie.ca. A message from Katie, Canada's source for HIV and hepatitis C information.